Hey everyone, have you ever gotten access to DiSC or taken a DiSC assessment or been told, hey, we're going to start rolling out DiSC in our company? And you thought, okay, where do I start? Now what? You're not alone. That's a pretty common thing that happens in organizations and teams these days. So one of the most important questions I get, I run DiSC certifications quite frequently, is where do I start? And how does this actually work and look like on teams? So today, that's what I'm going to talk about. Just a really simple place where you can start, make this tangible, not too complicated by any means, and know that this is something that you can do, whether you're a facilitator, a leader, a manager, a really excited stakeholder, or someone that advocates for a lot of development within companies and teams. I'm here to talk to you today. So who am I? My name is Jeannie Bril, and I do work for the Center for Internal Change. So we're a small consultancy that focuses on team effectiveness, leadership development, and overall growth for individuals and organizations. So I do have a master's degree in industrial organizational psychology. So it's a great way to pull in theory and psychology into the business world and see how that interacts. And then I used to work for the publisher Wiley for about 9 years on the education team, helping build out certifications, client and partner education, all around these tools. And then I got to put everything into practice and be a learning and development manager for a construction firm. So I understand all the needs, the asks, the limited budget, the limited time that your learners have. And so I understand, what you're tasked with as a practitioner, manager, leader, and how to use DiSC inside of your team meetings and your everyday. And so currently what I do at the Center for Internal Change is I run our DiSC certification courses in addition to our client training programs around DiSC, 5 behaviors, 360 assessment tools, some coaching around that as well. So definitely love to share what I've learned along the way, and that's just what this video is all about. Okay, so this is truth time. Early on in my career, when I became a brand new DiSC facilitator, I came out wanting to prove my expertise in the model, what I knew about the theory, the research. I thought I was doing a really good job at sharing that information in my DiSC workshops to a certain degree. What I quickly realized is I was leaning too heavily on that, and I thought I needed to teach everything about the theory and model, or I needed to teach everything that was in the facilitation materials that were provided me, and I didn't give myself enough credit for customizing a workshop or capitalizing on the experience of the people that I had in the room. I tended to overcomplicate it a little bit for myself, and I didn't have to do that to myself. So that was an early learning that I had, is that to start with the basics, make it relevant. Don't focus too much on the model per se. Give them the framework of DiSC and then make it all about them. Talk about application. How does this show up in teams? How does this show up in your relationships? And make it real for them. So I moved away from that notion of I needed to teach everything and prove my expertise into quickly realizing that it's not about me, it's about them. So what actually worked was that simplicity, making DiSC easy. It is memorable on purpose, DISC. People can walk out of a workshop and know exactly what that means. Who am I and how does that connect us, make us different or similar? Now knowing your style compared to mine, making it relevant. So using examples in your facilitation that are real world. If you're working with construction workers, make those stories and scenarios relevant for the field versus the office employees that you're working with, okay? Know your audience. And double down on the conversation. Yes, you're given a lot of great videos or you have a full facilitator script. It's okay to make it your own. Toss away some of the, out of the box facilitation and make it scenario based on the employees and what they're going through in the moment. I promise you that will go much further than trying to do 100%. I've got this right out of the facilitation box. So once I realized I was making my job harder than it needed to be, I quickly realized, okay, I can do this. And if I really want it to stick and people to use it, let's focus on the basics. All right, so where to start? My recommendation is to go ahead and take a DiSC assessment. I don't think you can fully understand how to facilitate a workshop unless you've been a participant yourself, right? So go ahead and take that assessment, get that experience, what your learners would go through, be a participant, and experience the value. Those aha moments that you have, I know that as a facilitator, you'll want your learners to have those same aha moments as well. So after you have taken an assessment yourself, there's a couple different ways that you could approach your next step. One could be to go ahead and get the facilitation materials. So you can do this is to purchase something called the Catalyst Practitioner Experience, also known as CPE out there in the marketplace. What this will do is it will give you everything that you need to facilitate. Again, speaking to you, the facilitator, the coach, the consultant, or a team leader, a manager, a stakeholder, the advocate. Anybody can take these resources and facilitate a discussion around them, right? So with those facilitation materials, you'll get the PowerPoints, the scripting, the video. It's embedded into the PowerPoint. You'll get handouts. You'll also get access to something called a community where other DiSC facilitators are part of that, and you can exchange ideas amongst each other. There's other learning modules. So if you are new to DiSC, new to facilitating conversations around it, there's learning built within this whole system, something called Catalyst Practitioner Experience. So it's there to set you up for success in facilitating these conversations. Another thing to note is that we'll provide you our recorded Train the Trainers. So my team, we've been using DiSC since 1986. So we've been using the tools for quite a long time, and we've learned a lot, what works, what doesn't. So one of our master facilitators, Susan Stam, has created a library of Train the Trainers, which are recorded. So there's nothing better than watching a master facilitator do the work themselves. She'll share her insights, those learnings she's had along the way, and you'll be able to see someone in action facilitating the virtual facilitation materials around DiSC. The other thing that you could do is participate in Everything DiSC certification. My team, we facilitate a DiSC certification quite frequently, usually one a month. And this is really great for those that want that deep theory and research and expertise, that credibility. You'll walk away with that credential of a certified Everything DiSC practitioner. So it shows that you've gone through the very rigorous work of learning the model, the theory, the research, the applications of the tools. You get practice facilitating and coaching. You get feedback. It's a great experience. And the capstone project with the certification process is putting a workshop together and getting feedback on it. So if that's something that you're interested in, you can certainly contact my team. With certification, you do also get those facilitation materials, and we go deep into helping you use those materials and maximizing them. Okay, now that you've got yourself educated in the theory, the research, the model, the tools, what you can do as a facilitator or practitioner of the DiSC assessment and the process, what your next step is to do is to put it into action. So that could be in the form of running a pilot session. We always recommend doing kind of a practice run, maybe using your HR team or your current team that you're on. And so you can run a session, learn from it, and use that feedback from the participants in your session to improve. So that iterative design process can be part of this experience if you run a pilot session. And at the same time, what you want to do is make sure that you're bringing in leaders of your company into the process. So partner with those stakeholders, have them be that advocate for you in talking about the power that DiSC can provide us as a team and company and how it aligns with our corporate values. Usually a company's corporate values encompasses respect, relationships, and DiSC sits beautifully within those core values of organizations. Another thing to start thinking about is how you're going to market it internally. Again, with those stakeholders can be a huge piece. What's the rollout process going to encompass? What's that communication plan? Really important to make sure people know that DiSC is used for good. It's not going to be used for hiring, firing, promoting, or demoting. It's a development tool. So start to think about that as a marketing strategy within the company. Maybe you want to start using Slack or Teams or intranet, your weekly or monthly newsletters to the employees to articulate the value. I know a lot of our clients like to use in-house testimonials where they'll get a leader to share examples how they've used DiSC or some of the components within the platform itself, the Catalyst platform, and how it's benefited them. So make sure that you're thinking about the process kind of from front to end. But I think that whole pilot process, getting you, starting there is going to let everything else fall into place. So I hope that helped you understand the bigger picture, how you can start using DiSC straight away. Know that you can do this. It doesn't have to be super complicated. And my team is here to support you along this journey. Never hesitate to reach out to us. We can always do a one-to-one. And you can contact my team at training@internalchange.com. Thanks again. Bye.